Welcome to I Can't Believe It's Not News with Beth and Elizabeth. Da-da-da!
It's so dramatic. It's so serious.
You know, the first time I played that for my husband, he was like, is that how you wanted it to sound?
That's good. That's a good reaction. That I'm glad you decided to go with it after that.
I was like, you're banned. You're banned from the pod.
So how are you doing today, Beth?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I've been off work.
I know.
For a
I've been
while.
super jealous.
And I'm going back tomorrow.
I know. I've been covering for you. We have lots to talk about tomorrow. But today, what should we talk about?
The consequences for fake news.
Okay.
There are actual consequences occasionally, apparently.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Well, there is a ton of stuff happening right now in the world. And if we had a staff and interns, we would likely be doing an episode twice a week just to keep up.
If anyone out there wants to be an unpaid intern,
just
reach out.
Send your application to podcastnews@gmail.com. So we could have done anything this week. And
we had a lot to choose from.
Tons. So let me give you some highlights of some things that we could have talked about this week. So London had another terrorist bombing, and our president responded like a baboon. Twitter, take me away.
So, he had you and I talked about if he actually is a fake news source himself. And we discussed this, but he's not a media source yet. So he doesn't create fake news. He just lies. Like when he was mischaracterizing the statements of the mayor of London. Yeah.
I just think in his position, he becomes news because of who he is. So he has a greater responsibility to not lie, especially on platforms like Twitter.
Yeah, but here we are, right?
But here we are. Okay, so moving on in our week. Reality Winner was arrested for leaking documents to the press about the NSA discovery that Russian hackers placed cookies on the websites of 122 county clerks responsible for counting election results. Yes, that is a true statement, including her name.
That is nuts.
I know. If they were going to send cookies, they just should have used that service. That sends the cookie platters. They didn't have to do it.
No, don't say their name.
Yeah.
Unless they're sponsoring us. But no, it's nuts. So first of all, the whole thing is crazy. But her name, that's her real name.
I know.
I thought that it was a hacker handle.
Yeah.
Or something like that, like Trinity, it's a weird hacker handle, but what do I know, right?
I thought they were announcing it like she was a reality show winner, and they were going to say her name, like she was somebody from The Bachelorette that now works for the NSA.
But then I heard a story, and they said her middle name, Reality Lee Winner.
The Lee doesn't help.
Oh my gosh, her mom named her that.
Oh my gosh, a poor girl. But good for her.
Good for her. But she's like a rock star.
She is like a rock star.
Yeah, and she has this incredible bio, and she's
a winner.
Yeah, well, she's taken one for the team, that's for sure. So let's
So we could have talked about that.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that.
But no. Then, in England, the Tories had a snap election to try and consolidate their power. It didn't work out in their favor, and I'm not sure whether to be horrified that they can do that or, seriously impressed and ask for details on how to set that up.
Parliamentary governing is so weird, isn't it? It's just the weirdest thing. But I was like, God, I want that.
I know. Right now, I'm like, maybe we could consider making some changes. We might.
Well, I joke about
remorse later.
We never should have left. That was the first problem. Just kidding. Just kidding. I don't want emails.
So we could have talked about fake news from that, I'm sure. Then James Comey testified live. Popcorn sales across America soared.
Lordy,
I hope there's tapes.
Love that.
That was awesome.
So awesome.
And during that, John McCain went rogue again and tried to link the Russian investigation to Hillary's emails because, per the contract with the devil, a Republican must utter the words Hillary's emails every 2.2 seconds, and it was his turn.
Yeah. When your turn comes up. Yeah. No matter how crazy you sound, you got to do it.
And that's true because we don't create fake news here. I can't believe it's not news.
So it's totally true.
It's totally true.
Okay. I'm going to stop you there.
Okay.
Because we could just spend this whole episode talking about real news right now. And that's just not what we do. It's not in our purview. Real news is not what we talk about here.
That's really true.
So what we want to do is give everyone a break from the crazy that's out there and talk about something nice and light, like yogurt.
Oh, wow. Like frozen yogurt, like maybe one of those places with all the toppings and you like pay by the ounce.
No, Beth. No, but that sounds good. That would be nice. Delicious, but sadly,
go on a road trip.
No. Yeah. I want yogurt now. That sounds really good. Like I hadn't even been thinking about the good kind with all of the good toppings. Yeah. Anyway. So no, today we're going to be talking about the consequences of fake news, and yogurt gets wrapped up in with that.
Okay. So I have two questions. So are there consequences to fake news, and what does that have to do with you?
Well, to answer your first question, not enough. Definitely not enough. But we have the case of Alex Jones versus Chobani yogurt.
Wait a second. Alex Jones. You said we were going to take a break from all that crap that our brains cannot even process right now.
With Alex Jones?
With Alex Jones? Is that as light as it gets?
Chobani makes light yogurt.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. I know. I hear you. I feel you. My brain starts to shut down when it hears Alex Jones, for sure. But this is what happened. So Alex Jones of Infowars reported back in April that the Chobani yogurt factory was the epicenter of a tuberculosis outbreak and responsible for importing Syrian refugees who raped a very young girl and very young. Oh, by the way, just trigger warning for that type of thing. We're going to be talking about it a little bit. So anyway, so he reported this on Infowars and I guess just expected to go about his business and keep on keeping on with that story, as people seem to do with fake news without consequences.
That all of this stuff was coming from a yogurt factory in Idaho.
Yes. So the yogurt factory is run by a gentleman whose name you know how to pronounce.
Hamdi Ulukaya.
Yeah, I'm so bad.
He's from Turkey.
Yeah, and he's a good human being.
Very good, actually.
Yes, yeah. He employs lots of refugees, giving them good opportunities in this wonderful country of ours.
Yeah.
And
actually, let me break in just for a second. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He started Chobani when he found a yogurt factory that was shut down in New York. And he purchased it and started Chobani and has grown to where it's like $1 billion company. Mm-hmm. He recently gave 10% of the stock to the employees at Chobani. He has made a huge effort to employ refugees and has, on a world wide scale, encouraged other CEOs. He started an organization called Tent to help corporations employ refugees. I mean, this guy is he's giving away most of his money to charity and to fund things like Tent and to really help with the refugee crisis. So this is a really good guy.
I wish I liked Chobani.
Really? I love Chobani.
I don't like it. I've tried it several times and it just doesn't suit me.
You got to get the ones with the flip, and it has like the little chocolate pieces. That's how you start on Greek yogurt.
It just tastes like tuberculosis, kind of. Just a little bit.
All right, so back to your story.
Anyway, so he got sued. And his first reaction...
Wait, who got sued?
Oh, sorry, Alex Jones got sued. Yeah.
So Chobani sued Alex Jones for the statement that he made.
Yes. And his first reaction to being sued was to come out and say, they're just trying to silence me. They don't want to talk about this. It's trying to be swept under the rug, and I'm going to speak the truth. And that didn't go away. Now this lawsuit has been settled. The financial terms have not been revealed, and Alex Jones has issued a public apology for the false statements that he made about the yogurt company.
Alex Jones could have an entire show apologizing for false statements that he has made.
And people just eat it up like it's good, tasty yogurt. You know?
It is good, tasty yogurt.
No, the Alex Jones stories.
I know, but Chobani is good yogurt.
Well, if you go looking on the internet, like there was a boycott Chobani Facebook page, and you know, hey, boycott whatever you want to. Like seriously, you know, whatever. But if you look at it, there is such venom in the comments. And it's just crazy. Just people want to believe it. It's very easy for them to believe these things.
So why is it that they're boycotting? Is that they think he brought these refugees in that raped this girl? Or what is it about?
Yeah, I think that it's because they believe that. They believe that he is intentionally bringing people into the country who are going to harm us. And you know, he knows this, and he's okay with that because... I don't know. So that's their motivation.
So what about the TB? What's going on there?
Well, so I wanted to know about, I wanted to answer that question. I wanted to know exactly what the heck was going on with the TB and with this alleged rape. And so as far as the TB is concerned, I went to a local news outlet called KMVT. I found an article that says 7 refugees confirmed with TB, no threat to public safety.
Okay.
And this article just says straight up, this article by this local news outlet says, you might have seen an article published today by Breitbart.com stating that 7 refugees with active tuberculosis were sent to Idaho. And so this was also on Breitbart, not just on Infowars.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But I think that Alex Jones was maybe the one who made that direct link to the Chobani. It says that the article said that 7 refugees with active TB were diagnosed after their resettlement in Idaho between 2011 and 2015. The state epidemiologists confirmed that this is true. However, it's not the complete story. These particular cases are not contagious and don't pose a threat to the public. And it says that the Department of Health typically tests and treats refugees within 90 days of them being in the state, and they're usually very good patients. They're usually very cooperative. They want to be immunized. They want to get any kind of treatment that they need and get on their way to becoming good, healthy citizens.
So they're not like Dr. Andrew Wakefield followers that are like, no, I don't want to be vaccinated. No. I want to spread disease. It's not those.
Yeah, not so much. So I went to that Breitbart article and I read the article, and you know, they talk about the tuberculosis outbreak, and they talk about the incidents, and it's I think they say, it's like a 500% increase or something, but they do say in there that they're talking about 7 people, right?
Right.
So, exactly. So, but I don't think that there was anything. I skimmed it quickly. I didn't see anything that was factually inaccurate in it, right?
Just probably spun.
Yeah, but I didn't dig into it too deeply. But I went into the comments, and there's this one conversation in the comments that goes like this. So I'm just going to quote what these people said.
Okay.
So this troll gets on there. I know it doesn't support your bigoted cause, but there's no way you will catch TB from yogurt made by an immigrant. But let's not let science get in the way of some good old-fashioned hating of people. So someone replies, are you claiming to be an epidemiologist? You have no expertise in this matter, just full of name calling like most leftist fascists.
Right.
Do you like that right there? Do you like that? As assholes, you're always doing that name calling, those leftist fascists. This is just like them. Then the former person replies, one doesn't need to be an epidemiologist to read the CDC webpage about TB. I'll let that sink in for a moment. I doubt it will change your irrational fear of immigrants, but the new info probably will confuse you. Nice. So then one doesn't have to be an epidemiologist to know that cough, 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 while working in a food factory can have cough, wipe my face, cough, massive disease spreading implications.
Which is why our government has a food safety, whole division that,
Well, so I did what they said. Actually, I went to the cdc.gov and I looked up tuberculosis. And what it says there is that tuberculosis bacteria are spread through the air from one person to another. The TB bacteria are put into the air when a person with TB disease of the lungs coughs, speaks, or sings. People nearby may breathe in these bacteria and become infected. So ways to not get tuberculosis.
Okay.
Shaking someone's hand, sharing food or drink, touching bed linens or toilet seats, sharing toothbrushes, or kissing.
Oh, okay.
That's from the CDC website. So according to them, that person is right. Even if they coughed on your yogurt,
right,
you would not get tuberculosis.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think one thing to be really clear about here is Chobani employs a lot of people in Idaho.
Yeah.
Not just refugees, not just Muslims. I think there's plenty of good old white bread Christians making that yogurt too. And to insinuate that the yogurt made at Chobani is somehow unclean or not fit for consumption is ridiculous on a couple of points. One being that we do have health safety standards set in the United States, which again is a regulation, which I know Republicans don't like regulations and would like to get rid of them. But that's why we have them, is so that our food that is made in America goes out and is safe. Yeah. So I would like to continue that regulation. I would like to know if there was any health safety standards, at a factory that was making mass produced food for everywhere, not being upheld. I'm sure if that was happening, that factory would get shut down and you would hear about it. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous to put this does not add up from 1 to 1 equals 2. This is like 1 to 1 equals crazy town.
I want a shirt. I want to make a shirt that says, I heart government regulation.
Right.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Do. Yeah, that would be great. I would get that shirt. Can I get a mug too? Well,
maybe when we have a merch corner.
Yeah, we could be like, I heart government regulations and journalists.
Yeah.
So I looked into some of this too. Mm-hmm. And I found out some interesting things as well. Have you ever seen those tasty videos on Facebook?
Oh, those really super cool ones where they just make it look like cooking is so easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, 2 things about that. One is my family wants to start a hasty video and make make foodstuffs for when you're high. Because, we're in Oregon. That would be helpful around here. We were like, that would be really funny to make like a punk type video of those to like things like
that's
that.
Cute.
We were laughing. Anyway, Tasty teamed up with Chobani. And they were putting out recipes that had Chobani yogurt in it. So maybe one day you're hungry for some, say, blueberry French toast. And you see a nice tasty video about blueberry French toast, and it happens to have blueberry Chobani yogurt in it. Holy cow. The comments on there were insane. And actually, one of my relatives had posted about this because she was looking at tasty videos as a consumer who likes food and found out that for some reason there's this huge Muslim backlash on Chobani, and she had no idea about it and was like, I don't know what just happened. Like, I just got into this big fight with somebody over Muslims on a tasty video comment thread. So I jumped in there and I was like, I was being me. So this lady's like, do I have to use Chobani yogurt? Can you use any other, brand? And so I was like, nope, sorry, you have to use Chobani. You can't make it if you don't use Chobani.
What did they say?
Just trolling. She didn't say anything back on that one, but
yeah.
There was a couple that I just was like, seriously, I just had to troll a little bit because I was like, no. But I looked up some of the comments, and there's like 10,000 comments on there, and I only had to look through 100 to find this sampling. Mm-hmm. Okay. So first one is, no, never Chobani. Company is Muslim owned in Idaho. He only hires Muslims. Don't trust any Chobani products. You'll get sick. It's hashtag, you'll get sick.
There's a lot going on in that comment.
A ton. Okay, next one. Chobani is owned by Muslims. They do not believe in washing their hands. I'm sorry, but that is true. Okay, that is not true. And again, health department standards. Like, this is a factory in the United States of America. This is not a factory on a fucking island in the middle of nowhere that's sending their shit in that you buy off of the back of a truck. Like, come on, people. Are you that dumb?
Well, and it even worse than that, Muslims don't wash their hands. Seriously,
yeah,
like you really believe that? You are going to type that on a public forum with your face and name connected to that? Right. Oh my God.
And then the next one says, I won't ever get that nasty brand of Greek yogurt. They hire Muslims. I will give up all products that support Muslims with a job. So again, just like, homeless people or drug addicts, you don't want them to work, but you don't want them to commit crimes or need anything from you either. Are you that fucking dumb that you can't see that people need a job to survive?
Well, and what she's describing, maybe not exactly, not really what she's describing, but what she's saying is illegal.
Right.
That would be discrimination based on religion to say, no, I'm not going to hire you because you're a Muslim, so you can't work at my factory. So
obviously there's some triggers in here for me because I'm getting really
Well, you know what she needs to do too? She needs to put her mouse down and quit using Facebook.
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure they probably hire a couple of Muslims over there.
Right. Oh, man, I wish I would have put that on that comment. That would have been awesome.
And then I hope she's not working on a Windows PC. I know for a fact that some Muslims work there.
Nice.
I've met them.
People are so dumb. You don't even realize how many, there's, 3 million Muslims in America already? I think that's the statistic. It's come on, they're already in our lives, and that's okay. This isn't a problem. Okay, so the next one says, use a different brand of yogurt. The owner of Chobani supports bringing in unvetted Syrian refugees without restrictions. Okay, not true. Stopped purchasing Chobani when I heard he will hire unvetted refugees to work for his company.
She just heard that a second ago in that last comment. Right.
And by the way, 60 Minutes is part of the liberal think tank, because people were talking about a 60 Minutes article.
Yeah, I saw they did a piece with him. I'm sure it was a very nice positive piece about his humanitarian efforts.
Yeah. They did, and he has all these humanitarian efforts. So this is the last
one. Stupid liberals.
Yeah. This is the last comment. I got the ingredients to make this, but then read about who owns Chobani and will never buy it again. I actually threw it away. Would a similar yogurt work? Before you ask me why, find the story about the 5-year-old girl who was raped in Twin Falls, Idaho by 3 young Muslim boys and why they tried to cover up the story. And then she puts a link to this article.
Okay.
By Joe Miller. Joe Miller was a one-term senator from Alaska. He lost his second election and ended up taking his campaign website and turning it into a quote-unquote news source called Restoring Liberty. So he wrote this story called Finally, Justice in Twin Falls, Refugee Assault of 5-year-old Girl. Now, this was published on April 9th of this year. And April 10th, it says the week of April 10th was the week that Alex Jones was doing his Chobani stuff. So I think what happened is this story got resolved legally, and it kind of brought everything back up again.
Okay.
And that's why Alex Jones kind of got onto it.
Okay.
But basically, this is talking about this assault. And it says, in June of 2016, in Twin Falls, Idaho, a 5-year-old developmentally challenged girl was allegedly sexually assaulted. The 3 suspects charged in connection with this crime were refugee children, ages 7, 10, and 14 of
Very
Iraqi.
young Syrian. Yeah. Very young.
They weren't even Syrian. They were Iraqi. And a African company that I have country that I have never heard of called Eritrean. I don't even know. I don't know. I've never heard of that one. It's Eritrean.
Okay.
So they're not
Stupid
Syrian
Americans, huh?
at all, right? So according to the charges, while one of the boys assaulted the little girl in an apartment complex laundry room, the other 2 recorded the incident on the cell phone. Few details have been available as all those involved are minors and records have been sealed. Now, that's actually all true. This is kind of what happened. So then Joe goes on and basically says, they've agreed to plea bargains. He actually has some very factual information in here. He pulled a quote from the Idaho Statesman article about this resolution. And then he talks about how the story received very modest local media attention and basically starts talking about how this is the problem that's happening in Europe with refugee rape crisis.
Gosh, this whole thing about it not receiving media attention.
First of all, it did.
Yeah, it did. It did. But what do you expect? It's gross. Like, it's terrible. It is absolutely terrible that this happened.
Absolutely. And it's all juveniles involved. So there's not much information that even can be released or should be released.
Or should.
And to protect that girl and her family is our number one priority here. Not getting the news out.
Not, look what happened because of these refugees. You have an agenda and you want to use this girl to promote your agenda.
Right, because this was already being investigated by the police. It was already to the district attorney. It didn't need national attention put on it to make something happen from it. It was already going along the course that it needed to go on. So the only reason that they wanted more attention on it was propaganda. So he talks about one of the largest employers in our area, Chobani, operates the largest yogurt factory in the world and employs refugees as nearly 30% of its workforce, a business dynamic that has skewed local debate on the issue. So he brings it into Chobani one paragraph after talking about the European rape crisis.
Mm-hmm. And so he's making these leaps so refugee children did this, therefore refugees are rapists.
Yeah, exactly. So, and again, the girl was not raped. Mm-hmm. There is a Snopes article about this event involving children that occurred in Twin Falls, Idaho, was widely reported in inaccurate fashion. This is what they said is fault. The incident was not rape. The girl was not murdered, because that was going around too.
Okay.
The boys were not Syrian. A knife was not used. And no language barrier prevented the police from investigating or detaining the 2 boys involved. What did happen is there was a sexual assault that occurred in like a laundry room area with 3 minors who are from Iraq and Africa and a 5-year-old girl. And apparently one of them touched her, like the youngest one had touched her, and the other 2 didn't. But there was like a cell phone recording. And there was also some fake news about them sharing the recording with their parents, and the parents like congratulating them. So, no.
How would you even know that?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, the conservative, like the fake news arena just took this and blew it up into like the biggest thing possible when it didn't even need to be. I mean, anyway, and then linked it to Chobani yogurt of all fucking things to like be like, and now it's Chobani's fault and they don't wash their hands. So boycott Chobani, right? So the Idaho Statesman has, been actually reporting pretty well on this story from what I can see. They had a good article at the end here that was just put out on April 4th when boys accused of sexual assault of Twin Falls 5-year-old girl plead guilty. Just talks about, kind of what happened and that they've been sentenced at this time. But it doesn't really give the details because it can't. Because again, juveniles. Now, back in June 20th of 2016, so this is like almost a year ago, that Idaho Statesman had a story called Updated. Story of Syrian refugees raping Idaho girl is wrong, prosecutor says. Mm-hmm. So we've had the information that this was incorrect for almost a year. Like almost immediately after the story came out and the fake news started about it, it was debunked. But Joe Miller still felt the need to write this article on April 9th, 2017, talking about how this is what he thinks happened.
Yeah. And Alex Jones reporting in as well and getting his little self sued.
Exactly. So the other thing I found was there's another Snoops article about, it's called Sneak.
What website is that, Beth?
Oh,
I don't know what you're talking about.
So the other thing I found was this article on Snopes. Snope. I'm going to give you a big old Snope on that pronunciation. So I have warned you before. This will happen. It'll happen again. So it said a misleading image macro claimed Chobani CEO vowed to drown the United States in Muslims and was importing them to Idaho 300 at a time to work in his factory. Now, again, Chobani, so here it says what's true. Chobani CEO Hamdi Ukalala, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Chobani CEO Hamdi Ulakaya proposed big business step in and assist with the refugee crisis. Chobani has hired 600 refugees. What's false is he did not vow to drown America in Muslim refugees. His proposal did not mention Muslims specifically. He has no legal ability to import Muslims at a rate of 300 per month. So, yeah, that's not true as well. So, and then there was a New York Times article as well. He's gotten threats, and this is back again in 2016 even. This is from October 31st of 2016, so even before the election. And it's called For Helping Immigrants, Chobani's founder draws threats. And it just talks about, Breitbart, how they've pushed this. Mm-hmm. And, So I think to our question, are there consequences to fake news? I'm glad that Chobani stepped up and said to Infowars and Alex Jones, like, this isn't right. You're spreading lies about this, and sued them. But I'm looking at comments on a Tasty video this week, and that doesn't matter to them. Mm-hmm. And there's still some widespread disinformation. There's still the Joe Millers out there spreading this information. There's still, I'm sure Breitbart will be more than happy to continue to spread this information.
Yeah. Well, and like we've talked about in previous episodes, if you want to believe it, it's easy to believe.
Right.
You know, it's good that it does seem like there is some sort of recourse against fake news, but it's just depressing.
It is.
You know? I mean, this is, I feel like, you know, in this particular case, it's so egregious and it's so easy to disprove.
Yeah.
That this is a bit of a slam dunk for the Chobani lawyers. Yeah. But damage is done, though, you know?
Yeah. So speaking of damages, let's talk about that for a moment. So here is what Chobani sued for. Now, ironically, I was actually able to view the lawsuit that was filed on the Infowars site.
What?
Yeah, Alex Jones posted it as part of like a video that he had put up. So thanks, Alex Jones.
That easy?
Yeah, exactly. So Chobani was suing Alex Jones for defamation per se, and for breach of the Idaho Consumer Protection Act, unfair competition. So let's break that down just a little bit. So defamation is the act of damaging the good reputation of someone by slander or libel.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And slander is when you say something, and libel is when you write it, right?
Right, exactly. So defamation is the catch-all term for any statement that hurts someone's reputation. And I'm getting this information from an article on nolo.com. I don't actually know legal things just off the top of my head. So defamation is not a crime. It's a tort.
It's a civil thing.
Right, exactly. And so the defamation law tries to balance competing interests. So on one hand, people should not ruin other people's lives by telling lies about them. That's wrong. But on the other hand, people should be able to speak freely without fear of litigation over every insult, disagreement, or mistake. So political and social disagreement is important in a free society, and we obviously don't all share the same opinions or beliefs. And the article says, for instance, political opponents often reach opposite conclusions from the same facts, and editorial cartoonists often exaggerate facts to make their point. So in order for the victim to prove and establish that defamation occurred, they have to show the following: that it was published, false, injurious, and unprivileged. So first, for it to be published means that it just has to have been heard or seen.
Party.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be published in a book or a magazine. Mm-hmm. It needs to have been made public, and that can even be through loud conversation.
Yeah. So like if I just, go down, wherever, if I go to our place of work and start saying, that Beth, she kills puppies.
Yeah. Right.
False, presumably, Beth.
That is false, yes. But is it injurious? Would I get fired from that? Would that hurt me at work enough? So
probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Like we said in episode 1, you have access to that one system that none of us have access to.
You have to keep me around. No puppy talk.
They probably say, "Oh, that's terrible. She sounds like a god-awful person, but we got to keep her."
Right. But the point is that with with published, it doesn't have to be published in a book or a magazine. Right. It can be out there in other means.
Well, but in this case, it was published on Infowars.
Yes, definitely.
Properly published.
Yes.
For all to see.
And it also has to be false, which, again, in this case, we definitely had false.
We have proved that here on I Can't Believe It's Not News.
So then the statement must be injurious. Okay, so if you're suing somebody for this, you have to show how your reputation was hurt by these false statements. Okay, so if you went and said that I killed puppies to people, I would have to show how that hurt me. If you just said it and people were like,
just your feelings.
Right. If you said that and people were like, oh, Elizabeth, whatever, get over it. She's here. And it didn't injure me, then I couldn't sue you for that.
Well, we know that people are boycotting Chobani yogurt and speaking out against it on Tasty videos.
Exactly. So that's where he was able to show that it was injurious. And then it has to be unprivileged. Okay, so this is where you cannot sue someone for defamation, even if they make a statement that can be proved false, if they have privilege for that. So, for example, witnesses who testify falsely in a court or at a deposition can't be sued.
So, like in a court testimony situation. Yeah.
Right. They can be charged with perjury, which would be criminal, but you can't sue them civilly for defamation if they lie under oath.
Right. Yeah. Well, if they believed it to be true, then they wouldn't be lying. And they wouldn't be perjuring themselves. But like if Alex Jones had to get up and say these things, and if he knew they weren't true, like if they'd start asking him, well, where did you get this information? Blah, blah, blah. What kind of research did you do? And it, turned out then he'd be in trouble.
Right. So that's defamation. Now, he also sued for defamation per se. Now, per se basically means itself. Mm-hmm. So this is where the statement is so damaging that the statement is considered defamatory on their face. So basically just that statement is so awful that itself is defamation.
Yeah.
So they sued for that. And then they also were suing for the breach of the Idaho Consumer Protection Act for unfair competition. Now, what this is about is what it says is disparaging the goods, services, or business of another by false or misleading representations of fact. And that, I think, is probably in response to the TB claim. Mm-hmm. And that people were saying that, Chobani is going to make you sick. Mm-hmm. So that's probably why that was put in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So what has come of this is that Alex Jones has said he would remove the stuff from his website, right? And that he would apologize. And we don't know the other details of the settlement. We don't know if there was a monetary amount that was paid or has to be paid or anything like that. But here's what I do know. I went to Alex Jones's website. I sacrificed my sanity for all of you. And I went to Infowars.com, which was, I think I need to I have to send my computer away now to be scrubbed. But I typed in Chobani on his search that's associated with his website. Uh-huh. Lots of videos came up.
Oh, really?
The video with the apology I had to find on YouTube. I couldn't even find it on his site. I was searching even by the date and I couldn't find it.
Oh, really?
But in this statement, he says, I made certain statements that I now understand to be wrong. And he said, I regret that we mischaracterized Chobani, its employees, and the people of Twin Falls, Idaho, the way that we did. So it's a very broad statement. It doesn't get into specifics, and it doesn't really say why they were wrong, what they were wrong about, anything like that. But so it seems like he's taken down the video of the report, the original report, but he still has all these videos up where he talks about it. He has a video up where he responds to the lawsuit, where he's going on and on about how this guy from Chobani wants him to apologize. And he starts talking about it all again. He talks about that Chobani is the biggest yogurt maker in the world due to lucrative government contracts. He's basically like spitting out of his mouth saying that this guy's on the New York Federal Reserve Board. He's friends with the Clintons. He's got all these contacts. And it's no wonder that he's working with George Soros to bring these unvetted refugees into the country. Gosh. So he's brewing up the conspiracy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's leaving all that on there. Yeah.
All of that is still on there. So I did look some of this up. So first of all, just to be clear, Chobani is the best-selling yogurt in America. I didn't find any data for the world. Ulakaya was a member of the Upstate Regional Advisory Board for the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
Okay. So that sounds, I don't really know what that means, but that sounds like a couple of steps down from.
Yeah, he's not running the world.
Grand wizard of the Fed Reserve Board.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, back in like 2013, Chobani was part of a pilot program for bringing Chobani yogurt into school lunches, into the school lunch program. And in, I want to say 2015, they signed a contract basically with the USDA to provide Chobani for the school lunch program for across the board.
Okay.
Now, there's an article that I read about this, and it says the USDA decision means that Chobani will be available as a meat or protein alternative for K through 12 students in school lunch programs across the United States. Chobani has a quote in here from their senior director of nutrition and regulatory affairs, and he says, allowing children to have healthy and delicious options for their lunch tray ingredients is one of the most important things Chobani can do as a company. And we decided to offer our products at a significantly reduced price as we want to extend our mission beyond our cups and into the communities that we live in. So from that statement, and it doesn't say, what their cost is or what they're selling it for or anything like that, but it doesn't sound like Chobani's like raking in the big bucks on these government contracts. The way he says it in the video, it's literally like you're talking about missiles and like the Defense Department. It's like these big government contracts. And when I heard it, I was just dying laughing because I was like, seriously, like really? Like
we're talking about yogurt, but yeah, I mean, it probably is a nice contract.
Sure. And you know what? Chobani has the least amount of sugar in their yogurt than any other yogurt. And I know that because that's what I buy for my kids for that reason. Mm-hmm. So it's a good, healthy thing to have. And it also qualifies as a substitute for meat because of the amount of protein.
Well, so, it's healthy except for the TB, right?
No. No, it's just healthy.
Say that, and the feces.
No.
From the Muslims that don't wash their hands.
Oh my God. Okay, no. So none of that is in it. So it's a very healthy yogurt, and I was like, that's really cool. I'm so glad to know that Chobani could be at my kids' lunch. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So anyway, that's kind of just a rundown of the lawsuit and what has actually been done by Alex Jones and Infowars. So I would say not enough.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Chobani sued him.
Yeah, for sure. And just, I don't know, maybe it'll make him think twice a little bit before next time, but probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. If you have a topic that you'd like us to review, some fake news out there you want us to talk about, send it to podcastfakenews@gmail.com. This week's topic came to us from a listener. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so if you want to hear yours, send it down that way, or you can reach us on Twitter at Podcast Fake News, or follow us on Facebook. And the next episode,
we have an announcement to make.
Yeah, we have another interview. So the next episode is going to be special as well. Tell us about who we're going to be interviewing, Beth.
we are going to be talking to Dr. Daniel Jolie from England.
Oh, across the pond.
Yeah, and he specializes in conspiracy theories and why we fall for them.
Oh.
So I am super excited to talk to him for a couple of reasons. Number one, probably being the accent. That's going to be awesome. And then the whole conspiracy theory thing is just a bonus.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Get your tinfoil hat ready, people.
Yep, that's right. So until then,
spread jam,
not lies.